Grand chandeliers of Harper Gala sparkled like a constellation overhead, casting golden lights across the glittering crowd. Crystal glasses clinked, laughter floated through the air, and the scent of expensive perfumes mingled with delicate hours. Every guest was dressed to perfection, every smile mirrored, every word carefully chosen. For Ethan Harper, this was his kingdom, the event that showcased his wealth, influence, and impeccable taste. He strode through the hall in his tailored tuxedo, greeting socialities and journalists alike with the practiced charm of a man who had hosted hundreds of events like this. Tonight he felt unstoppable. Spotlight was on him and he thrived in it. That's it until his eyes fell on Lila, his wife, laughing too loudly at a minor joke. At first, it seemed harmless, just a cheerful moment, but then she leaned too little close to the edge of the grand staircase, accidentally knocking over a silver tray of champagne flutes. Glasses shattered across the polished floor, sending a spray of golden bubbles across the marble. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Cameras flashed. Whisper began almost immediately, like tiny arrows aimed straight at Ethan's pride. He froze, his heart raced. He had spent years crafting an image of perfection, and now everything teetered on the edge of disaster. He watched in horror as one of the elite socialities raised an eyebrow and muttered under her breath. Ethan felt heat rising to his face, a burning mix of shame and panic. "Lila," he hissed under his breath, grabbing her arm gently but firmly. "Come with me, quickly." Lila blinked, startled, trying to understand the sudden urgency. Her cheeks were flushed from laughter, not embarrassment, but Ethan's tight grip and the desperate glance he shot at the crowd made her pause. She followed reluctantly, feeling confusion prick at her pride, and he led her away from the chaos. Whispers continued to echo behind them. Some were judgmental, some amused, but all carried at the same silent accusation. Ethan Harper had failed to control his wife, and now his impeccable image was cracking from all to see. For Ethan, it was more than embarrassment, it was a nightmare. Every glance, every whispered comment felt like fire against his carefully constructed world, and in that moment he had made a choice he would soon get regret. Ethan's mind crashed as he steered Lila toward the side doors, waving between starlit casts and sparkling tables. Every second felt like an eternity, and even whisper that followed them was dagger to his pride. He had to get her out of the hall before the rumors spread any further. The gala was his masterpiece, his stage, and in that moment it felt like it was crumbling before his eyes. "Ethan, what's happening?" Lila asked, her voice trembling with confusion. She glanced back over her shoulder at the crowd, seeing the shocked faces and the broken champagne glasses. "Why are you leaving?" "I didn't go anything wrong." Ethan's jaw tightened. You don't understand, Lila. This isn't about right or wrong. It's about appearances, about respect, about his struggle to find words that wouldn't sound cruel. It's about keeping our reputation intact. Lila's eyes narrowed, hurt flashed across her face, quickly followed by frustration. Our reputation, she repeated, incredulous. Is that all I am to you? Some accessory to show off. Ethan flinched, though he tried to hide it. That's not, yes. But look, just come with me, please. They slipped into a quiet hallway, away from the glittering chaos of the main hall. Ethan thought the shadows would protect them from the judging eyes of the elite, but instead the tension between them thickened like smoke. He could feel Lila's disappointment pressing against him, sharp and uncomfortable. For years, Ethan had measured life in status, influence, and control. He had built a perfect world, one where every detail reflected success and every misstep felt catastrophic. Lila, brilliant and independent, had never fit neatly into his carefully curated image. Tonight, the truth had been illuminated in front of the very crowd he wanted to impress. I can't believe you just tried to hide me, Lila said softly, but her words cut deeper than an accusation shouted in the hall. I'm your wife, Ethan, not some problem to sweep away when it's inconvenient. Ethan looked at her, guilt and panic mingling in his chest. He wanted to apologize, to explain, to fix everything, but the words caught in his throat. He realized in that moment that his obsession with image had blinded him to her dignity and worse. He feared that by hiding her, he may have just fueled the fire that would eventually consume them both. Once Ethan left her momentarily to adjust his tie and calm his racing thoughts, Lila found herself alone in a quiet corner of the Gala venue. The distant hum of music and chatter from the main hall felt like another world, a fleeting world where she had always been overlooked, underestimated, and quietly dismissed. For a moment she let herself breathe, feeling the sting of humiliation still fresh from Ethan's hasty attempt to hide her. She thought back over the years, every time she had tried to voice an idea, to shine, to participate fully in Ethan's carefully orchestrated world. She had been patient, accommodating, and polite, always waiting for her husband on the social elite to acknowledge her worth. And every time she had been sidelined, her brilliance muted by someone else's pride or fear. But now, standing alone, a spark ignited within her. Shame had been cast upon her, yes, but humiliation could also be transformed into power. She was no one's liability, no one's accessory. She realized something profound. The world might try to hide her, silence her, or ignore her, but she had the mind, the courage, and the cunning to reclaim control. A slow, determined smile curved her lips. If Ethan wanted to preserve his image, that was his concern, but she had a moment of her own to seize. The gala, which had been meant to display her husband's perfection, could become the stage for her brilliance. All it would take was timing, strategy, and confidence. She pictured the entrance, the guest reaction, the gasp of surprise, and the awe of those who had underestimated her. She would turn the tables, perhaps with a daring gesture, a witty remark, or a bold public move that would leave everyone talking, and then he would see finally that Lila Harper was not a shadow to be hidden, by a force to be reckoned with. The plan began to form clearly in her mind, each step precise and calculated tonight. She wouldn't be silenced tonight. The Gala would remember her not as the wife hidden in shame, but as a woman who stole the spotlight entirely. Her heart raced with excitement. The night had shifted. The stage was hers, and for the first time in years, Lila felt completely exhilarating alive. Lila took a deep breath, smoothing the folds of her elegant gown and strengthening her posture. Every step she took toward the main hall felt purposeful, deliberate, and if the world itself has paused to watch her return, the golden chandelier reflected in her eyes. The soft rustle of her dress announced her presence before she even stepped fully into the room. Tonight she would no longer be hidden. Tonight she would shine. As she re-entered the crowd, instinctively turned to look. Conversations paused, champagne glasses hovered midair, and cameras seemed to tilt in her direction. Lila's entrance was subtle yet commanding, a quiet confidence radiating from her that demanded attention. She seemed graciously a familiar face, her wit already, her eyes sharp with a glimmer of mischief and strategy. Ethan's heart sank as he watched from the side. He had expected an awkward whisper or discomfort, but instead, all eyes were on Lila. She moved through the crowd with poise, engaging socialities and clever conversations, offering compliments laced with charm and staring that captivated everyone. Where once she had been underestimated, now she commanded respect effortlessly. Then came the moment of audacity. Lila subtly orchestrated a dramatic reveal of previously unnoticed centerpiece was unveiled, or a prize meant for someone else was skillfully redirected to her with charm and humor, causing a ripple of astonishment throughout the room. Gasps and murmurs spread like wildfire. Social rivals froze, caught between envy and admiration. The Gala, which had been Ethan's stage, had shifted entirely to her control. Ethan stood rooted to the spot, a mix of awe and guilt washing over him. His wife, whom he had hidden in panic less than an hour ago, he had transformed the event into a spectacle of her brilliance. The crowd marveled at her presence, captivated by her intelligence, her courage, and her undeniable charisma. Lila's power dominated the night, not through arrogance, but through sheer confidence and grace. By the time the music swelled and applause rippled through the hall, it was clear Lila Harper was no longer the wife to be hidden. She was the star, the genius, the force that everyone would remember. And Ethan realized with a pang of humility that he had spent years underestimating the woman standing before him. The Gala had quieted to a gentle hum as Lila moved gracefully among the guests, collecting congratulations and admiring glances. Her laughter, warm and genuine, filled the spaces that had once felt suffocating with shame. Ethan stood at the edge of the room, his heart heavy with a mixture of awe, guilt, and admiration. He had spent years believing he controlled every aspect of their life, every impression they made, but now the truth was undeniable. He had underestimated Lila in every way. He watched her engage with the crowd, each word precise, each gesture confident. She wasn't just practicing, she was leading, transforming the gala into an event people would remember, not for his fault or influence, but for her brilliance. Every smile she received, every note of approval was a quiet reminder to him of the courage and intelligence he had failed to recognize. Finally, Lila approached Ethan, her eyes sparkling with calm triumph. "Do you enjoy the gala?" she asked softly, almost teasing through her tone carried a subtle edge. Athens swallowed her, the weight of his pride pressing down on him. "I didn't realize," he began, but words failed him. He admit that he had been wrong, that the woman he had tried to hide had just stolen the night. Lila smiled gently as if sensing his struggle. "You thought hiding me would protect your image," she said, her voice steady. "But all it did was hide your own weakness. I won't be hidden again, Ethan. Not by you, not by anyone." Her words were not angry. They were powerful, clear, and unforgettable. Ethan nodded slowly, understanding that respect and recognition were earned through courage, not control. He felt a surge of admiration tinged with remorse for the woman who had shown him and everyone else the true meaning of strength. The gala ended with Lila as its star, her brilliance leaving a lasting impression on every chest. Ethan realized that pride and shame were fleeting, but courage, intelligence, and self-respect endured for long. He had learned the hard way that the person you underestimate the most may be the one who teaches you greatest lesson. And as they left the hall together, side by side, Ethan knew one thing for certain: he could never underestimate Lila Harper again.